26 years on, Nigeria's democracy is still struggling because we have attempted to walk with one of its two legs, clap with one hand, and fly with only one wing. The occasion of this year's democracy is another opportunity to reflect and be intentional going forward. I am Dr. Moses Akabi, the Executive Director, Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies, IFEPS, and the convener of this online forum. Join me as I introduce you to the team of experts and contributors that we have put together to enrich the discussion on women's political inclusion and ethical leadership. But first, let me start with a puzzle. What if we decide to do that one thing that will give us the right results? What if women made up half of our political leadership? What if their voices were not just heard, but truly represented in decision-making processes? The reality is women comprise a significant portion of our population, yet their representation in politics remains disproportionately low. Today, we'll explore ways to bridge this gap and promote women's inclusion and leadership in governance. We'll discuss strategies to build their capacity, address the challenges they face, and create opportunities for them to take on leadership roles. By working together, we can unlock the full potential of women in politics, create a more inclusive and equitable society for the survival of democracy in Nigeria. I promise that this event will be engaging and urge you to join in the conversation. The Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies is strategically focused on building competencies and creating awareness to enhance capacity and public potency for accountability and good governance. It leverages on its expert faculty to facilitate competence building initiatives to increase substantially the percentage of women that are ready to maximize opportunities and participate effectively in governance. As we proceed, let us remind ourselves that one of the most pressing challenges facing Nigeria today is that of building a truly Nigerian nation bound in freedom, equality, and justice, where no citizen is marginalized based on ethnicity, religion, gender, physical challenge, or socioeconomic status. Though the Constitution provides for participatory democracy, the space for popular participation at all levels of governance has been constricting rather than expanding. Statistically, women contribute significantly to vote politicians into office, but they continue to retain the lowest cadre in political representation. As a leadership and ethics institute, our strategy is to raise a core of leaders, be it men, women, upcoming leaders, with the knowledge and skills to perform to the highest standards of ethics and morality, thereby changing the face of politics in Nigeria, which sadly has become very hostile. As efforts are being made collectively to create an enabling environment for women political inclusion, the women folk and men who champion this cause must demonstrate a commitment to make a difference, knowing that citizens' expectation for the nation to be transformed through good governance is boiling high. Why voices of ethics and change? Democracy and ethics drive national progress, but only when people speak up, because silence helps undemocratic behavior to grow. Voices of Ethics and Change is a flagship advocacy initiative of the Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies, IFEPS. It is dedicated to amplifying the voices of individuals and organizations, driving positive transformation through ethical leadership and professional excellence. The initiative seeks to, among other things, recognize, promote, and support exemplary figures and efforts that embody the values of integrity, ethics, and social responsibility. It is beyond advocacy, it is a movement. Embedded in this strategy are issues that help women to navigate the political arena, which sadly has become very hostile, empower voices through an honest role, setting the right tone in collective responsibility and nation building, unveiling IFEF's flagship course on gender, elections, and political governance, GEPL, for anybody going into politics, be it men, women, youths, to create an impactful career. This workshop on women's political inclusion and ethical leadership is put together by the board and management of IFEPS with the objectives to increase women's participation in politics and electoral processes, to develop skills and knowledge of women in politics or those aspiring to go into politics, as well as electoral stakeholders to promote inclusive decision making, and to advocate for policy change as well as cultural shift towards greater acceptance and support for women's leadership and participation in politics. I now have the privilege and honor of introducing to you Professor Ekanem Braid, the chairperson, IFEP's advisory board, for her opening remarks. She is represented at this forum by Dr. Mrs. Rosemary Omana, a member of IFEP's management and expert faculty. Chairperson's opening remarks.
The chairperson for this crucial workshop is unavoidably absent, and I have been asked to read her opening remarks. Chairperson's opening remarks in the workshop on women's political inclusion and ethical leadership to commemorate 2025 Democracy Day celebration in Nigeria. I welcome you to this workshop on women's political inclusion and ethical leadership, facilitated by the Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies, IFEPS, to commemorate Democracy Day in Nigeria. It gives me the opportunity to celebrate a crucial aspect of our democracy, the participation of women in politics. As we reflect on the progress made so far, we also acknowledge the significant work that remains to be done to ensure that women's voices are heard, valued, and represented in our political spaces. Women's political inclusion is not just a matter of numbers, it's about creating a more just, equitable, and prosperous society for all. When women are included in decision-making processes, they bring unique perspectives, experiences, and priorities that can lead to more effective and sustainable solutions. By empowering women to take on leadership roles, we can unlock their full potential and harness their talents to drive positive change in our communities. So in the next few hours, we will engage in thought-provoking discussions, share experiences, and learn from each other. We will explore the challenges that women face in politics, discuss strategies for increasing women's representation, and examine the importance of ethical leadership. I encourage you to participate actively, share your insights, and take away valuable lessons that will inspire and empower you to promote women's political inclusion and ethical leadership in your own context. Let us work together to build a more inclusive and equitable democracy for all Nigerians. Thank you very much. On behalf of Professor Ekanem Braid, the Chairperson Advisory Board of Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies. Thank you.
At this point, we want to look at the current state of women's representation in politics, locally and globally. Globally, Nigeria ranks 123 out of 146 countries in the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Index for women's political participation. Locally, women make up 49.5% of Nigeria's population, but hold only 5% of parliamentary seats, 18 out of 360 members in the House of Representatives, and 8 out of 409 members of the Senate. The 2023 general election saw a slight increase in women's representation, with 72 women elected to executive and legislative positions out of 1,534 available seats, and this represents 4.69% of the total positions. Some states like Kwara have made notable progress with 5 women in its 24-seat assembly. Despite these gains, women's representation in Nigerian politics remains low, with legislative seats held by women dropping to 3.6% in the National Assembly. Our sources include National Open University of Nigeria, National Democratic Institute, and the UN Women, among others. We now go into the plenary sessions with the first paper on women's political inclusion, a catalyst for change, presented by Dr. William Akpabio, Executive Director, Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies. Women's political inclusion is indeed a catalyst for change because empowering half the population is crucial for harnessing the talents, perspectives, and energies of citizens, leading to more representative and effective governance. It also helps to drive social and economic progress because when women are included in politics, they bring unique experiences and priorities to the table, driving social and economic progress and promoting more equitable societies. It helps to unlock democratic potential. Women's political inclusion is essential for unlocking the full potential of our democracy, as we have always said, ensuring that governments reflect the diversity of their citizens and respond to their needs and concerns. We'll also take an overview of the importance of women's participation in politics to show how their inclusion is actually a catalyst for change. One, underrepresentation. Women remain underrepresented in politics globally, holding a disproportionate percentage of seats in parliaments and governments. And so empowering more women will certainly bring about political transformation, good governance, equitable and a just society for all. Barriers to entry. Women face various barriers to entering politics, including societal norms, lack of resources, biases, and limited access to networks and opportunities. So when these barriers are removed and women are included in political processes, they will bring about transformation and a much needed change. There is the impact on policy. Women's participation in politics can lead to more inclusive and equitable policy making, addressing issues that affect women, children, and marginalized communities. There is also the factor of role models and mentorship. When women are included sufficiently in leadership roles, politics, and electoral processes, they can serve as role models and mentors, inspiring and empowering other women to pursue careers in politics. There is also the factor of global efforts to increase participation. These are ongoing global efforts to increase women's participation in politics, including advocacy, capacity building programs like what we are doing at the Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies, and policy initiatives aimed at promoting gender equality and women's empowerment. It is very important to know that women's political inclusion will bring about change in the polity. We have seen how the political arena is fast becoming a war zone. When we inject more women who by their very nature cannot operate in a politically hostile environment, it will certainly change the temperature. We need women to drive real change. But it is not just about numbers, it is also about quality. And that is why the Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies is designing a number of competence building programs to provide skills, knowledge for women in politics and men in politics and those aspiring to go into politics so that they can be equipped to perform optimally. Politics, we know, is a profession, it's a vocation. And for every vocation, you require relevant or requisite skills and competencies. Politics has its industry, and the industry of politics is governance. For every industry, there are standards, there are professional ethics and code of conduct for practitioners. That is why women going into politics or those already in politics need to acquire the competencies and need to be trained to become compliant to the rule and conform to industry standards and the code of practice acceptable for the industry of governance. That is why the Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies have designed this flagship empowerment program, training program, not just for women, but for everybody or anybody going into politics. Gender, Elections and Political Leadership course, GEPL. It's a program that empowers women to go into politics equipped with skills, knowledge, with the confidence and the understanding of the political terrain to navigate and bring about real change. Thank you for your attention. Dr. Sam Amadi is an erudite scholar of social and political science and is a vice chairperson of IFEP's advisory board. Here are some of the thoughts that he shared at the maiden edition of Voice of Change workshop on women's political inclusion.
So once in a while, we see a triumph of a lady, a female, a male, but there's no sustained strategic transformation, which is where we should focus. And there are three things I want to say quickly that drives it. One is structure. The second is policy. And the third, of course, or program or intervention. Now the structure is given. We are in a structure that is defined by certain cultural, religious, socio-economic, ideals. So we talk about, can a woman be a governor? Kisayako launched her book 2 days ago, and she was called the Sign and I came. I just tell of what an interesting about that book, the book presentation, was the issue of Kola North. I knew when she ran for Senate. Interestingly, the king has been trying. When she went to run for speaker, she came to me. I took that responsibility. I went to Ken Namani, I went to everybody, and we pushed and pushed and pushed. So we said, take deputy leader. Deputy leader, something like that. She took that one. So, Christiana fought hard, did very well, Senator. But she now said, when she was to run for governor, they said, who will break Kola North? So, the difficult, everywhere she goes, they say, she's very good, she's very good. But ask her, if you make you governor, who will break Kola North? Because the woman in the woman cannot.
That's culture.
bring cola nut. So she sent a team to do some scoping and try to convince them. Came back and said, the report is very good. But the only issue there is that who will bring cola nut? You as governor. She now said, okay, tell them that in this circumstance, I will appoint commissioner for cola nut. Who will be bringing cola nut? You'll be a man. His job is commissioner for cola nut. Very good. But that tells a story around how culture matters. Culture still matters. Even as we, and that's why the point she raised about culture being dynamic is very important. Being dynamic, therefore, means that it's evolutionary. And therefore, overriding culture should also be evolutionary. But the thing about evolution is that evolution does not have to have uniform speed. Evolution can actually be kinetic, can move so fast. So being evolutionary does not mean you have to wait for another 100 years to supersede breaking of cola nut. It can happen in 1 month. And this is important for social change. There is no proportionality about forces that change history. It can be eruptive, suddenly something happens. And consciousness is created by action. So sometimes you don't wait for people to change their mindset. An action can change that mindset. So a woman can come up and actively disrupt, surprise everybody, disrupt, establish order. And that success inaugurates a new order.
The next discussion is on challenges that women face in politics, and this will be taken by Dr. Rosemary Omana, a member of IFEF's expert faculty.
As we continue with our focus on women inclusion in politics, we are going to look at some of the challenges women face in politics. Women indeed face a lot of challenges, particularly due to our patriarchal norms, lack of support, and perhaps unequal access to resources. Let us be a little specific. Sexism and stereotyping is a major issue. Women in politics often face sexist attitudes, stereotypes, and biases that can undermine their credibility and authority. It is quite surprising that a lot of people still hold the belief that women do not have capacity to function. And because there are women that perhaps they are unable to judge appropriately. So there is indeed a lack of representation and role models for women, because over time we have not had enough women in this space. The underrepresentation of women in politics can make it difficult for women to see themselves in leadership roles and can limit the number of role models and mentors available. Beyond these, the art of balancing family and career responsibilities constitute a big challenge to women. Women in politics often face challenges in balancing their family and career responsibilities, and this can impact their ability to participate fully in political life. However, thank God that there are various opportunities now for women to seek help to look after the children. The other issue that is very pertinent is limited access to funding and resources. Women often face difficulties accessing funding and resources to support their political campaigns and activities. Usually among the friends of men, they have those who are ready to fund their campaign. But because women ordinarily are not in that space where they have a lot of resources available to them, they may not be able to help other women. And so women need to have access to resources. Another problem is the media bias and scrutiny of women. Honestly, women in politics face biased media coverage quite often, with their appearance, with their personality, and family life being subjected to scrutiny and criticisms. There is also the problem of harassment and violence. Women in politics may experience harassment, intimidation, and violence both online and offline, which can threaten their safety, well-being, and will also make them afraid to participate. Party and institutional barriers is a forever problem. Women may face barriers within political parties and institutions, such as limited opportunities for advancement, lack of support, and biased selection processes. These challenges can make it more difficult for women to participate and succeed in politics, and can limit the diversity and representation of women's voices in government. And I'm trusting that women are going to be given greater space to do that which God has endowed them, to bring that motherly role to participate in politics and help Nigeria to navigate its course appropriately. Thank you.
We also have the privilege of sharing with you a clip from a female politician, distinguished Senator Nkechi Nwagu. Listen to her story.
Hello, my name is Senator Nkechi Nwagu. I started my politics way back in 1989. By 1991, I was appointed a member of Abia State Economic Advisory Board from 1991 to 1993. By 1999, again, I went fully into politics. And I contested for governorship at the first time. No, the second time, because by 1998, I was almost appointed a governor or allowed to contest for governorship under the UNCP party. By 1999, I contested again after the demise of General Abacha. Then I again, by December 1999, when I didn't win in the governorship, I contested for party as a deputy national treasurer, which I won. In 2003, I contested for House of Reps, and I won under the platform of All Nigerian People's Party, ANPP. From 2003 to 2007, I was a member of House of Reps from Abia State. In 2007, I went in, contested for Senate for Abia Central Senatorial District in that comprised 6 local governments. And to the glory of God, I was successful. But there are challenges as a woman to go into politics. The way I have just said it, it looks as if it was an easy thing from beginning to this day. No. What is required for every woman who wants to go into politics? One is to look at the position you want to seek for, and look at your area, because every politics is local. Don't stay in Abuja and you want to contest for something in your home state. It won't work. Be a home girl and begin to fraternize with people around you in your area so that your name begins to resonate within that the very constituency. Don't be an alien who will only surface during election. It won't work. Be focused. If you are focused on what you want to do and what you want to achieve, then begin to till what we call political ground. By doing that, I mean interactions with the people within that area. You have to interact.
Here are some congratulatory messages supporting what we are doing at the Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies to promote women's political inclusion. Here is renowned Bishop Matthew Kuka of the Archdiocese, the Catholic Archdiocese of Sokoto. He is the National Award honoree and a member of IFEF's Advisory Board.
Hello, Dr. Oyim. Greetings. I am at Heathrow Airport. You can hear a bit of noise in the background. I'm so sorry. I can't do better than this because I've just arrived and I'm connecting another flight. I want to send you my heartfelt congratulations on this initiative. Please, don't even say democracy is not complete without women. It is that our creation itself, God said that it is not good for man to be alone. So a society without a strategic, viable, important place for women standing side by side with women is incomplete. So to a great extent, Africa has been clapping with one hand. And I hope that women will continue with this agitation so that the children coming behind us will know and appreciate the massive contribution that women have made, and will continue to make. So please don't give up. I add my voice to your initiative. I encourage you. Let's continue the struggle. The goalposts of victory are not so far away. But meanwhile, women are doing wonderfully well in Nigeria. So please accept my prayers, my congratulations, and my best wishes always. God bless you all.
We will also look at opportunities for women's political inclusion, and this presentation shall be taken by Dr. Haruna Chom, a voice of ethics and change advocate. Dr. Chom is a senior lecturer in the Department of Construction Management, University of Adamawa, Yola.
Greetings to all. I am Dr. Amos Chom Haruna. I am speaking on the topic opportunities for women in politics. By way of introduction, opportunities for women in politics are expanding significantly across the globe, from America, Asia, Europe, and even Africa. While there are significant barriers in Nigeria, opportunities for women in Nigerian politics are emerging, particularly with increasing awareness and advocacy for gender equality. What are these opportunities? Number one, increase awareness and advocacy. Organizations and movements are working to raise awareness about women's rights and promote their political participation. Number two, affirmative action policies. Nigeria's national gender policy that aims for 35% representation of women in elective and appointive positions is in the offing or is existing, although implementation remains a challenge. Number three, proportional representation. Some people argue that proportional representation systems can create more opportunities for women to be elected. Yeah, if you are like a quota system, some countries in Africa, they have it, like Uganda, where I did my PhD, even Rwanda, most of the countries in East Africa, they have this proportional representation right from the ward level up to the national level. Number four, women's political organizations. Groups like the Women in Nigeria Rising to the Top Against All Odds are providing training and support to women candidates. IFEX, which this institute represents, is also part of the advocacy that provides training that build on the confidence and skills of women to participate in politics. The next one is growing momentum. Despite challenges, there is a growing recognition of the importance of women's political participation for a more inclusive and representative democracy. The last one is increased media coverage. Media platforms are increasingly highlighting women's achievements in politics and raising awareness about their struggles. We have them from private media to even the public media houses. They are part of the coverage. Now, despite these opportunities, we still have challenges. And these challenges pose as barriers to increasing the political space for women. Number one is low representation. Women are significantly underrepresented in Nigerian politics at all levels, from local government to the National Assembly. Number two is a patriarchal structures. Deep-rooted patriarchal norms and cultural expectations often hinder women's political participation and development. Our politics are men-dominated, so some practices are men-related, so women find it difficult to fit in. And some beliefs that tends to discourage women participation are there existing, even up to now. Number three is political parties. Party structures dominated by men can create barriers to women's access to leadership positions and candidacy. So we need to create more space to let it at least a little bit gender sensitive. All our parties should be gender sensitive in their structures and policies and laws. The next one is economic factors. Financial constraints, including the cost of nomination forms, can prevent women from entering the political arena. Then lastly, violence and intimidation. Women in politics often face intimidation, harassment, and violence, which discourages their participation. Now, despite these challenges, barriers, some marked progress have been made. So women have achieved success in elections at the national and state levels. Also, even local government levels. Here in Adamawa, we have a woman chairman, even in Fufure local government, if I can remember very well. Also, efforts are underway to support women's leadership and decision-making in various sectors. Furthermore, some political parties are actively working to include more women in their structures and leaderships. Now, to conclude, I would say that continued advocacy, policy changes, and support for women's leadership is crucial to achieving greater gender equality in the political sphere, in the political space. Thank you so very much for listening.
Yes, the whole idea of getting more women involved in politics and electoral processes is to ensure that they don't just go in, but go in equipped with skills, knowledge, and competencies to make a change. And that is why ethical leadership is very important, leading with integrity. To lead with integrity, they must understand the principles of ethical leadership. They must understand the principle of taking decisions in public capacity offices, because leadership is about decision making, deciding to mobilize the resources available to achieve the goal of an entity. But at the end of it all, the bottom line is public good, public interest, deciding in the interests of the public. And so we will quickly go through principles of ethical leadership, look at some of the values that create a boundary for conduct of leaders, and also look at the principle of public office and issues that are associated with leading at that capacity, in that capacity. For principles of ethical leadership, we have, this is not exhaustive, we'll just go through about 7 of them here because of time constraints. We have the value of respect. Respect is mutual. The people you lead must respect you And that means that you must respect yourself and respect others, because respect is mutual. You need integrity, that is acting with honesty, transparency, and moral principles. You need fairness, making decisions that are just, equitable, and unbiased. You need responsibility, taking ownership of your actions and decisions. You need compassion, demonstrating empathy and a care for others. You need to be transparent, open, honest in your communication and decision. You need to be accountable, holding yourself and others accountable for actions and inactions. In all of this, you must have a good understanding of the principle of public office, acting in public capacity, ensuring that your decisions satisfy the common good to earn public trust. And so we need to know that official decisions must be taken solely in terms of public interest. There should be no financial or material inducements in the performance of official duties. Choices must be made on merit, and all official decisions must be accounted for. Private interests that relates to public duties must be declared, and public functionaries must promote these principles by demonstrating high standards of professional ethics with zero tolerance to shortcut, malpractices, and misconduct. And of course, there is the issue of conflict of interest, serving the public interest, because public office is a trust, and when we serve personal gain or private interest, we abuse this trust. These and other things are issues that we hope to discuss in the course of gender, elections, and political leadership. Thank you for your attention thus far. So what is ethical leadership in politics? We have Alhaji Salihu Omeyi, a member of IFEP's faculty, throwing more light on this.
We'll be considering 5 of the principles required for ethical leadership in politics. The first principle is accountability and transparency, which requires that women in politics promote transparency and accountability by being open about their decision-making processes, funding sources, and actions. Second one is inclusive decision-making. Here, women can foster inclusive decision-making by engaging with diverse stakeholders, listening to different perspectives, and considering the needs of all constituents in all matters. The third principle is integrity and honesty. Women in politics can demonstrate integrity and honesty by being truthful, keeping their promises, and avoiding corruption in any form. The fourth principle is ethical empathy and compassion. Women can show sympathy, empathy, and compassion by prioritizing the need of vulnerable populations, such as women, children, marginalized communities, and all they represent. The fifth principle is collaboration and coalition building. Women in politics should build coalitions and collaborate with other leaders, organizations, communities to promote common good and values. Indeed, by applying these principles, women in politics can demonstrate ethical leadership and promote positive change in their communities and societies. We'll look at 3 case studies of women and men who applied ethical governance in leadership with great success. The first case study is that of Malala Yousafzai, education activist. Malala Yousafzai, a Pakistani activist for women education, demonstrated ethical leadership by advocating for girls' education despite Taliban opposition, promoting non-violent resistance and peaceful activism, and empowering girls and women through education and advocacy. Second case study that we need to consider is that of late Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa, who demonstrated ethical leadership by leading the fight against apartheid and promoting racial reconciliation, fostering forgiveness and healing after decades of violence and oppression, and promoting democracy, equality, and human rights. The last case study is that of Greta Thunberg, the climate change activist, a Swedish national who demonstrated ethical leadership by raising the awareness about climate change and its disproportionate impact on vulnerable communities, holding leaders accountable for their actions and inactions of climate change, and inspiring a global movement of young people to demand action on climate change. These individuals demonstrated ethical leadership by promoting values such as justice, equality, and compassion, and by inspiring others to work towards creating a more just and sustainable world.
We now come to navigating the political space, a toolkit. This is very important for women going into politics because the political space must be understood and confronted. Here is Dr. Rosemary Omana, Mrs. a member of IFEP's faculty again.
Again, welcome. We have been considering women's political inclusion. This is our fourth plenary session, and we are looking at navigating the political space, a toolkit. What is a toolkit? A toolkit is that collection of resources, skills, and experiences that enables you learn about an issue and then identify strategies for addressing such issues. So we have 5 sections in this discussion, and we are going to be very brief because these are experiences and strategies that you're already aware. In section 1, understanding the political landscape, the first thing you need to know is your constituency. Understand the demographics, the needs of the people and concerns of your constituency. Number 2, you need to stay informed. Stay up to date with current events, policies, and political developments. Build relationships with key stakeholders, including community leaders, activists, and other politicians. Now, the other tool is your understanding of the electoral processes. Now, if you understand the electoral system, which includes voting, processes, and rules, you will not struggle to fit into the system. We also would like you to develop your campaign strategy that would include messaging, outreaches, and mobilization of the people in your environment. And you need to seriously engage with voters. Engage with those voters through town hall meetings, door-to-door campaigning, and social media. Now, in our section 3, we want to look at strategies for success. Number 1, or firstly, we would like to advise that you build a strong team. That strong team of supporters, volunteers, and advisors will bring an inclusive team that will help you to succeed. Develop a strong message. Quite often, Our messages do not meet the needs of the people. So develop a strong message that resonates with your voters, with the voters. And we would also like to advise that you be authentic and transparent. This is lacking. So in your campaign, you're going to be ready to be transparent in your campaign and in your governance. What you say you would do it without fail. In our section 4, we are looking at the political inclusion of women. How do you do this? You need to overcome barriers to your political participation. These would include patriarchal norms and lack of support. You know how the system runs. Men dominate the space. So you need to overcome these barriers. And so you need to build a strong support network of women leaders, of mentors and allies. And we will also like you to advocate for women's rights. Advocate for women's rights and interest in politics. Don't stand aloof. Don't see other women going forward and you discourage them. In our section 5, we'd like to encourage you to be a part of the ethical leadership that will fast forward and fast track issues and bring all this we are talking about together. We would like to advise that you consider leading with integrity, with transparency and accountability. Make very informed decisions that will benefit the greater good. Don't just make decisions to please a particular section. Your decisions must be such that will benefit the greater good. And we would like you to engage in constructive dialogue. Dialogue with your opponents, dialogue with your critics. Don't just pass them over and say they are not important, they don't matter. No, you need to have a listening ear. We are trusting that this toolkit will provide for you a starting point for participation to navigate the political space and to help you adopt those strategies that as we said in the beginning, in the electoral process. Be a part of what is happening. Thank you.
We also looked at case studies of leaders who have demonstrated ethical leadership locally and globally. We have 2 cases here. The first is that of former President of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. He made an ethical-oriented declaration that his political career is not worth the drop of any Nigerian's blood, and stood by this principle during elections in accepting defeat as an incumbent president and proactively congratulating the winner of that elections, President Muhammadu Buhari, as the electoral polls emerged, and this led to political stability for the good of all. We also have the case of former President of South Africa, Dr. Nelson Mandela, who led the fight against apartheid, promoting racial reconciliation, fostering forgiveness and healing after decades of violence and oppression, thereby promoting democracy, equality, and human rights. It is our expectation that with the unveiling of the Voices of Ethics and Change Honors Roll, that we will be able to document many more individuals, citizens, leaders at different levels who have demonstrated ethical leadership, who have demonstrated inclusivity, accountability, transparency, responsibility, and all the ethical values that will nurture democracy to grow and survive so that we can enjoy dividends of democracy and get democracy nurtured for the good of everyone. Democracy is the government of the people, for the people, by the people, and nobody and no section should be excluded. Nobody should be left behind. And that is why we are encouraging people to take a step and ensure that they promote not just inclusivity, but ethical leadership, good governance, transparency, compassion, accountability, justice, freedom, equity. It is for the good of all. Unveiling voices of ethics and change honors rule, terms and conditions. We are instituting this award to recognize and celebrate individuals who have demonstrated exceptional commitment to ethical leadership, professional excellence, inclusivity, good governance, and social responsibility on the following terms and conditions. 1. Eligibility. Nominations are open to individuals that have demonstrated the courage to speak out or act intentionally on these issues to promote a culture of ethics, accountability, and inspire positive change. Nomination process. Nominations shall be submitted in writing to voiceofethicsandchange@gmail.com on or before 30th of August 2025, providing specific examples of the nominee's achievement and impact, which shall be reviewed by a nomination committee to publish the final list by 15th September 2025 for the award ceremony scheduled as part of activities to mark the National Day celebration on 1st October 2025. All nominations shall be confidential, and the screening committee shall evaluate based on demonstrated commitment to these ethical values for a final decision. No correspondence will be entered regarding the selection or non-selection of nominees. GEPL is a course on gender, elections, and political leadership facilitated by Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies. It shall be an online and on-site training program with lectures and discussions, case studies and group work, guest speakers and panel discussions, action planning and mentoring to achieve the following goals: increase women's participation in political and electoral processes, develop skills and knowledge of women in politics and electoral stakeholders, promote politics, policies, and laws that support gender equality and women's empowerment in politics. The program shall be for a duration of 3 months and will cover such issues as introduction to gender equality, women's participation in politics, international frameworks and norms, GEPL in practice, case studies of successful initiatives and best practices for promoting gender, elections, and political leadership, electoral systems and processes, women's leadership in politics, campaigning and elections, electoral management bodies, addressing violence against women in politics, media and communication, building coalitions and partnerships, action planning, and next steps. This course is for all Nigerians. We have just marked 26 years of democracy after decades of military rule. This is one course that is intentionally put in place to create a critical mass of democratic citizens. We need to be intentional in creating democratic citizens, people that understand the values of democracy, people that conform to the culture of democracy, people that practice democracy as a culture, as a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Everybody is a stakeholder in democracy, and we need to be equipped to have the right orientation, knowledge, skills, and competencies to take a stake in democracy. Happy Democracy Day once again. As we conclude this workshop on women's political inclusion and ethical leadership, let us carry forward the spark of collective determination ignited here today. May the insights gained and connections made empower us to challenge the status quo, break down barriers, and build a more just and equitable society. Let us strive to be the change makers, leaders, and citizens who prioritize integrity, empathy, and the voices of all. Talking about voice and voices, let us encourage and motivate those who demonstrate courage to speak out against anti-democratic and unethical practices in leadership, in political parties, in government and private institutions, and in our communities. The reason being that democracy and ethics drive national progress, but that is when people speak up. Silence or connivance of silence allow undemocratic tendencies to pervade our society, and any attempt to gag citizens from expressing the truth is painfully pricking to our collective conscience. This is the rationale for unveiling Voices of Ethics and Change Honors Role as part of activities by the Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies, IFEPS, to mark this year's Democracy Day celebration. Join us and nominate candidates who meet the terms and conditions provided for this award. Working together, we can create a Nigeria where women's leadership is not an exception but a norm, and where democracy truly serves the people. We are not just talking of numbers, but quality, so that women who find themselves in leadership positions and political roles will set the tone that drives real change. Politics is a vocation, and those who practice it must have requisite skills, knowledge, and professional competence to make a change. In this regard, we have flagged off a strategic competence building initiative on gender, elections, and political leadership, GEPL, for everyone in political leadership or aspiring to go into politics at any level, either as a man, a woman, or youth who is not too young to run, so they can gain practical knowledge and insight to build an enviable political career. Let us know that the expectation of every Nigerian for national transformation is boiling high. And the question on every lip is, which way Nigeria? At the beginning of this democracy event workshop on women's political inclusion and ethical leadership, I gave a poster saying to us, what if we do that one thing that will give us the right results? Democracy without women is attempting to clap with one of its two hands. It will not produce an applause, neither will it generate the energy to enable it soar, but will continue to falter and stumble. Inclusivity of all interests, including gender, guaranteed in the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, will be the right disposition that will give us the right results. And on that note, let me extend my profound gratitude to our esteemed speakers, expert faculty, contributors and participants for making the workshop on women's political inclusion and ethical leadership a huge success. Your contributions, insights, and enthusiasm have enriched our conversation and inspired us to work towards a more inclusive and equitable society. Special thanks go to the advisory board of the Institute for Ethics and Professional Studies, IFEPS, chaired by Professor Ekane Bread, its management and technical support team, as well as our esteemed partners in Voices of Ethics and Change for the team spirit and the tireless efforts towards the success of this workshop. May all that we have taken from this event, ideas shared, connections made, commitments made, translate into a meaningful action and positive change in our communities. We will not conclude this year's democracy celebration without acknowledging the constitutional fundamental that Nigeria is a nation under God. In all our undertakings, let us exhibit God consciousness, national consciousness, and values consciousness as the true determinant of our nation's well-being, progress, and prosperity. Together, let us arise and worship God Almighty. Let us give Him all the glory for the celebration of this 26th anniversary of democracy in Nigeria. For it is His grace that has seen us through political, economic, social, and security turbulence, asking that this democratic flight will preserve our dreams and land us safely in a secured future. In the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.